So, welcome everyone to this first session of Sattva Talks Global. Sattva Talks Global is a very new channel, and this whole channel will be in complete English for the international audience who are watching it. I'd request one thing from you all. You have showered lots of love and blessings to the Sattva Talks main channel, and I expect one thing from you, that you will also subscribe and share a lot of love and blessing to this channel also. So make sure you do subscribe this channel. Today we are having a very first session with Tim, and today we have also a co-host who will be co-hosting with me, Niruta Didi, Niruta Mohite ji, and she's from Australia. Tim is from Australia. I'm sitting in India, but we all are together. That's the Art of Living family we have. So welcome everyone. Over to you, Niruta Devi. Yes, Niruta Devi.
Okay, Jai Gurudev. I think, am I spotlighted or I
Yes,
can
yes,
see
you are
Abhishek?
spotlighted. You are there.
Okay, all right. Jai Gurudev, I'm very happy to introduce Tim. Tim is a fantastic teacher in Australia, and he is like, he's a happiness teacher, he's a Sahaj teacher, he's a TTC teacher also. Am I correct, Tim?
No, TRM. That was many
TRM
years.
teacher. TRM teacher also. And Tim is a very simple person, and if you hear about him, his achievements, like Timothy is a seasoned professional with vast experience in building thought leadership platforms and providing event solutions for corporate and government sectors in Asia. And he's worked with many notable organizations like the Economist Conferences, and also founding Business Week events for D&M strategies. And Timothy is a dedicated volunteer at the Asia Society Hong Kong Center, serving as a gallery docent. Am I correct, Tim?
Yeah, gallery docent, a guide.
Okay. He's a graduate in philosophy and psychology from the University of Sydney. He's deeply committed to personal growth, guided by the teaching of His Holiness Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. I hope, Tim, I've done justice to your introduction, because you are such a dynamic person. Just a few words will not really describe you. So let everyone experience what Tim is all about.
Oh, you give me too
So,
much credit, Narita.
so Tim, what is like, I first want to know is, what has been your early journey in Art of Living?
My early journey, I got into the art of living with the purpose to disprove it. That's how I got on the course. This was in early year 2000. And at that time, yoga and breathing techniques were not mainstream. It wasn't like a street side store like what you see nowadays, where there's yoga everywhere. So I didn't believe that yoga, meditation, breathing techniques could heal. And so I went on the course to disprove it. I was the worst student possible. At that time, it was called the Part 1 course. I got all the instructions wrong. But at the end of it, something clicked in me, where I realized everything that I was, you could say, searching for or achieving was found within me. And that is a very special journey, because I was very successful up to the point when I stepped into art of living. At a very young age, I was like just around 30, and 3/5 of the world I was responsible for. And there was, I could pick up a phone call and things like that. But with all that achievements, there was some things within me that was not satisfied. And that drove my ambition and my quest for achievements, in corporate life, in business life, in social life. And yet it could never be satisfied. I mean, it was just so unreal, to a point where you were pushing yourself to the limit in order to achieve more, because you felt that by achieving more, you validated your existence. until I came to the art of living, where my two teachers were, I would have never spoken to them in my social circle, and everyone else in my class batch would be people I wouldn't be part of as well. But at the end of it, I realized, and it wasn't a realization, it was the feeling. So feeling is not our emotions. Feeling is something deep within you where you just know. So for example, you just know you're breathing right now. That is the feeling. So that awareness, right? Because we get confused between feelings, emotions, and awareness sometimes. And it was like that feeling was I was complete. And that completeness came for everyone who has done this Sudarshan Kriya is those momentary blankness or nothingness, but you feel that there's something there. That's very special feeling where I immediately thought, this is it. And then I had to meet this person called Shri Ravi Shankar. And 40 days later, I was in the Montreal ashram. I met Gurudev. It was at that time, mobile phones were not popular. It was like about that big, but not everyone had one. So in Montreal, we got to the ashram, and I've never experienced Indian culture in my life. I mean, you see on TV and things like that, but here they were having a yajna, so that's full on. And the Savak, who was an old timer, was driving, and he looked shocked when he realized I've never sat in a yajna before, and I was turning up to the Madhya, and all he said was just go with the flow. And I didn't know what that meant. So in those days, the Montreal ashram was just 3 stories, and I was at the top of the meditation. I was looking down, and there he was. He walked past with the two big priests with the fly whisk going like this, and immediately, being a rather stubborn person at that time, I went, "My mum's right. I'm in a cult." So I thought I have to get out of this, and I ran downstairs, and payphones were still being used. But in Canada, Montreal, everyone only speaks French. And then I was thinking in Australia when we were going through school, in secondary school, everyone had to do French. And then I was thinking, if only I paid attention in school in those days, I can speak to the operator. And that was the first moment of surrendering for me, where I just, well, what can I do? Let me just go through it and see what happens. So those were the early days.
So, Tim, because you were getting into a new culture, I'm sure there must have been some funny moments because, I have seen when you are getting to a new culture, you say some things which rhyme like something funny in that language. So I'm sure you must have had some funny moments.
Well, it's I find the Indian culture has a lot of sign language, like that, which means and, and my first Kriya was I didn't listen to the instructions. So everyone around me was having a big experience. And I was just waiting because the teacher was saying, we're trained in this, we'll take care of it. But everyone was like yelling and screaming. So I sat up and opened my eyes. And I looked at my teachers going like this. And the teachers went like this to me, which is close your eyes. But I thought that was crying. So I said, everyone's crying. And then they went like this, which means lie down, right? And I went, no, I thought that means like calm down. And I went, not me, it's other people. This this went for a while when when the mantra is being sung, and I was just there going. And then finally I went, well, they're the teachers. So I just lay back down. So that was one of the few funny moments. The other funny moment I always like is whenever I'm in the Bangalore ashram. So in the kitchen, the second floor is for international, and the ground floor is for nationals. And I always find the national kitchen, it's the same kitchen, it's always tastier. So I will always go downstairs and cover my name badge and say I'm from Shikkim. And of course, the young Savaks will ask me, "Oh yeah, yeah, come in," but I usually get caught by someone more senior and tell me to go back upstairs. So those are fun things. Yeah. It's fascinating I traveled a lot in my life, and um, seeing different culture is, at first there is the fear of not knowing what to do, right? But what the art of living teaches you is that of belongingness. Okay? And with that space that you hold of belongingness, you actually do feel at home wherever you go. As long as you just think, that person belongs to me and I belong to them, then what is there to worry? And with that relaxed mind, then it's easier for the other person to share their culture and for you to share your understanding of the culture. So we are in a very special space whenever once we get initiated into the Sudarshan Kriya, and then as we continue onto this journey of spirituality through the art of living, it's the most complete path that you can experience. Not because that I'm a teacher and I've been on this for a while, but in my pre-art of living days, I was a seeker of the truth. So I experienced every religion, right from Christianity across all its sects, from very ultra conservative to the very liberal. And then I investigated in Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism. I even went into the dark arts and things like that. But my character is the one, if you tell me not to do it, I will go and do it to find out why, right? So it's sort of like, as a child, don't play with matches. I'll go play with the match and see one will obviously burn. So I would always ask questions that I was either told it's blasphemous or it's sacrilegious. But my answer to that was always, if I cannot question the authority of God or divinity, then how do I know the divinity completely? You
Tim,
get
you
my
have been, sorry to interrupt you, you have been from Chinese background. And
yes.
from what I have seen is Chinese are the ones who are very strong with their base, with their belief, with their religion. And it's very surprising being a Chinese. How did this shift happen? What connected you so strongly to Guruji? Was there
It
any
was very difficult.
challenges?
Yes, it was very difficult. You see, the guru-disciple relationship, it is in the Chinese culture or in Asian cultures. So like in martial arts or kung fu, you have the master and the student. So it's similar like that. But to have a living guru in the way the Indian tradition is just not in our scope of understanding. Even for Chinese, if you go into Caucasian, it's absolutely absent in their mindset. So the first time it was a lot of questions, but the questioning was more about the doubt and the suspicion that there was something manipulative behind the guru. I mean, common media, you always get the negative report. So there was a lot of fear driven, questioning driven by fear at first. But as you spend time around Gurudev and you see some of the projects that he inspires, then that question turned into wonder, and that wonder is like it's not disbelief, but it's just wonder in awe that a fully realized individual is possible. I mean, in your own lifetime. You always think it in mythology or history books or thousands of years ago. But to have a, a fully realized individual who is also your master or your guru or your coach or your mentor is special, and it takes a while with a lot of courage to be able to then acceptance through wonder that something that is so beyond the intellect, that is so infinite, has taken the form of something that is so limiting. You get what I'm saying here? It's actually a very beautiful experience when it flips from that of questioning what is that person up to, wow, that is possible. I hope
Hmm.
I answered the question on that.
Yeah, yes, definitely. You
Tim,
know, yeah.
means this is really wonderful. Like you were experimenting many things, then you came to art of living. There's still many people who are after art of living. Also, someone says like, okay, this is much better. You should experience this. They gonna go on a spiritual shopping. So, what do
Mm.
you want to say about it?
That's a very good question, spiritual shopping. You know, when never someone's music is on, never dampen someone's curiosity in search for the truth, right? Because the truth comes in all forms. When you look at Ashravaka Gita, it said that, that the divinity does have a unique individual love for each person. That is possible, although it is universal. And I've seen many people, including students of mine and friends that have gone spiritual shopping. You see a lot of confusion in that. But what I notice is that they haven't given time, or they actually haven't dived into the knowledge that we share. So, for example, if we look at Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the modulations of the mind, right? When we are going on a spiritual shopping, we're stuck in the modulation of the mind of looking for the proof. Are you getting what I'm saying? You didn't have to go through that if you paid attention to the sutras in the first place, right? And that takes discipline and the commitment to look deep and think about what has been shared. Are you getting what I'm saying? So there's nothing wrong with spiritual shopping, because that is their journey. But you hope that their journey on spiritual shopping will awaken them that they're only stuck in the modulation of the mind. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah. So, for the viewers out there, be curious. Be curious. Otherwise, you become closed off, and then you're back to square one. But be curious and have the safety hook on the path that you have been initiated on, which is the Sudarshan Kriya. And everyone goes through it. I went through it after being a teacher as well, because the mind also comes in. You feel bored, you know, how many pranayams can you do? And then you've seen the grace of the guru there as well. Every so often, after so many years, a new technique is given again to extinguish the monkey mind, not the curious mind. The curious mind should be there of self-discovery, but the monkey mind is there of looking for proof or validation. Yeah. So just be aware of that, uh, and know that it will lead to more confusion than clarity. Did I answer the question on that, Abhishek?
Absolutely, absolutely, Tim.
Yeah.
One more thing you said is something which goes beyond the intellect. In a general way, we say them guru stories, like Gurudev does something which is out of the world. Have you experienced some guru stories, like something like, okay, this is not a normal person, he is like beyond my intellect?
Well, I always say, look in your own life. And when you look in your own life, your own lived experience, that entire thing is a guru story. Are you getting what I'm saying? We have a very bad habit in the art of living of always seeking guru stories. Nothing wrong with that. The guru story is there to wow us and to inspire us. But the tail end of that is, oh, I wish I had something like that. Are you getting what I'm saying? So if we think about this core right now, right, this entire core is a guru story. One, the technology we're using is connecting so many continents and people. Two, who would have guessed in our own lived experience we'll come to this very point right now that we're discussing this? So this entire thing is a guru story. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah. But the little guru stories of that he just knows. That is it's beyond intellect. There are times when if he's traveling and then you're helping out and um, people giving gifts, messages, and notes. The notes in envelopes are easy to handle, but the notes on small pieces of paper where they just go like this. So I dropped one one time, and uh, we presented everything to him, and he goes, "There's one more," and we said, "No, there isn't." And he goes, "Yes, there's one more," and he actually told us where it was, and he told us who gave it to him. So I went out to the went out to the door, looked for it. I dropped it onto the ground. I mean, this was not public areas in the hotel in the corridor to his room. So those are the little things. It's not the big wow where you know where it makes him special, but it's the little things. It's the little things where it's beyond the intellect. And you see that in the darshan line, or people not familiar with the term darshan, is when there is a line, audience line for the guru. And whenever he walks past, it's like the moment he speaks to you, you are the only thing that matters. Haven't you noticed that? Meanwhile, everyone's screaming, throwing their babies at Gurudev and things like that. He's still totally aware of what's going on outside. But then when he's looking at you, it's like the world or time has stopped. Huh? Of course, people say, well, that's because, you think he's the world and things like that. No, you will notice that next time, And also, you will notice if someone feels that they are not being focused on, he will turn around and speak to them. And that makes him so special, is that he knows everyone is there, and he will speak to you in the way that you only will appreciate and understand. I mean, it's like, haven't you noticed that? He speaks to you, and then your friend, hey, what do you say? What do you say to you? And you go, either it's like that, or you narrate it back to them, they're going, yeah, okay. It's not the same. Yeah. So the intellect part, beyond the intellect, is seemingly what you call, or what we would call as feelings. That feeling that it's like if you have a partner or you have someone you love dearly, you never question that love. It's just there's that feeling, that assured feeling. And that's what it is, for anyone, whether you are close to him within proximity, or you're seeing him from afar at the back of the Yajna or whatever, there is this unmistakable connection that is there, that is very ancient, but also timeless. When we say ancient, it's the past. But when we say timeless, it's forever. And at first, we do feel it is very ancient, because this is not the first time. Right? But when we reflect on it, you realize it is timeless. There was no beginning and no end. And that is the third Guru Diksha, where you feel that he is part of you and you are part of him. We're just like big children. No matter how much you love your child, no matter how much love and gifts you give your child's never happy. Yeah. We're just like big child, He's given us all the three dikshas, the sight, the mantra, if we've done the Sahaj mantra, and then obviously feeling that we are part of him, he's part of us. It's there. But like children, you get your piece of chocolate or sweet. You want more, and you want more, and you want more. Huh? Because who can say no to divinity? Because it's our complete potential. A lot of rambling here. Any other questions? You can ask me anything.
Yes.
Uh, Tim, you have started your journey from Hong Kong, and I used to hear a long time back, like 14, 15 years back, that I used to talk to my Hong Kong teachers, and they would say, "Oh, Tim is a mentor." Like, how did this journey happen? Like, you became from from a participant, you became a teacher, and you became like a mentor for Hong Kong. And for a very long time, you're in Hong Kong. And I remember the recent visit also, you have organized the Hong Kong Guruji's visit. And now you're in Australia. Team is Guruji is coming to three places in Australia, in Perth, Sydney, and Melbourne. And Tim right now is in Perth, and he's mentoring the place, kind of organizing things around. So how has this been like, starting from such a little, I would say, a little boy in spirituality to the big brother here? And yeah, and I've seen you. I've sent two photos to Abhishek. If you can, in that, if you can show that, team in Sydney in such a short span of time, uh, he's got award council. Like, council is basically how we have government bodies and all in. It's a government body. He's managed to get uh, appreciation from councils. Art of Living has been appreciated for the amazing work, and he's an expert in grants. If you want grants, he's an expert in that. So, yeah, how was that? How has that been? Yeah,
Well,
this is
it's
Tim's,
been through a lot of mistakes. Yeah.
so this is 2001. This
This
is
was
like he got an award in Sydney.
this was the grant that Art of Living got to provide mental health workshops for the Bondi Westfield incident. So Bondi is a location in Australia in Sydney, and Westfield is like a shopping center, arcade. What happened in April this year in 2024, there was random stabbing by an individual, and unfortunately, a few lives were lost, and there's been a lot of trauma in the community. So the council asked for submission of, trying to rebuild the community, a sense of belongingness. And when I saw that, and this is also by Guru Grace, who goes onto government websites? No one. But I went on the government. I think I was paying a fine. So that's why I went on it and I saw it. And I said, why not? And we applied for out of the three recipients, there was only three recipients. The first one was Lifeline Australia, which is the oldest suicide prevention hotline in the country. And then the second was called Bondi Cottage, which roughly about 40 years of service to domestic violence and women and their families in danger and things like that. And the third was Art of Living. And the purpose of doing that really was to, one, everywhere we go, we need to reach out to the community. That's what belongingness is. That's how we start and end all our courses. Sangha Chatwan, I belong to you, right?
Honestly,
And
Tim,
I just felt,
I can say I
yeah,
have
and I
tried a
just
lot
felt
of
that it was the right
grants.
thing.
I have
Yeah.
tried a lot of grants, but you have mastered it.
It comes from the space of giving. I mean, like becoming a mentor, it's, one of, uh, we were very lucky in Hong Kong because a lot of the senior teachers had to come through Hong Kong to take basic courses and then advanced courses and all that. This was back in the early 2000s. And I always remember Vinayaji said, I was still on TTC1. And she said to me, when you become a teacher, this is what will happen. She goes, before you become a teacher, you touch the feet of your recommending teacher. But when you become a teacher, you come home and you wrangle the neck of your recommending teacher. And I said to myself, I'll never do that. And I actually did that. I mean, I didn't literally wrangle the neck, but it was like, you know, with the passion, the drive, and everything, you thought you were better. And that was a very hard lesson for me because um, it was trying to do something which I thought was right, but it didn't bring anyone along. Yeah? And that was um, a tough lesson to go through because as teachers, you think you're infallible, right? Because the grace is behind you. You've been anointed with the tape. But now when I look back on it, we all have to go through it because this is learning what power is, but more importantly, what spiritual power is. And spiritual power, when you start looking at it, is not about silly powers, right? It's about the skill to listen to other people, right? Rather than telling them what they should be doing. And that was that change happened in me when I became full-time for Art of Living and realizing that you're not there to tell people things. You're there to share and you're there to be a space where people can listen to you. So for all teachers, just remember, whether you're a teacher, one, don't have a hang up about having the label teacher, right? Because everyone who is on the path is a teacher already. Your very presence, right, is a service to humanity, right? And don't underestimate that. So be in the space of listening. And what is the space of listening? That is the space of giving. You're there to give time. Right? So, we sometimes get so obsessed with get people on the course, get people on the course. We have to get people on the course because we're bringing to the master. But behind that, on a very subtle level, it is in a space of giving, a space of taking. Right? You need to think closely about that. Right? But we're not in this, we haven't been in the space of giving in certain places in the world. So part of the success of getting government grants was approaching it not to have people come onto the Part 1 course, but to know that we're here to serve community. We will show you the techniques that you can adopt immediately for everyday mental well-being. Easy. But if you want to scale this up, if you want to amplify it, then I invite you to gift yourself a Part 1 course where you will experience the scientific-backed or evidence-backed Sudarshan Kriya technique. Isn't that a much easier, a better way where we're giving and you have the choice to then take it further? That is what empowerment is about. If you look at how Gurudev operates, he doesn't tell you to do things unless it's like he knows that you have to do it to avoid something. But he always gives you a choice. You either do it or you don't do it. It's like you become a teacher. You either teach or you don't teach. There's no other way about that. So mentoring, all teachers have that potential. And once you teach your first course, you are already a mentor. What is a mentor? A mentor is a coach. What is a coach? A coach is a living guru. Are you getting what I'm saying? It's just on a smaller scale, right? Last night in Perth, and I shared with the family here that a living guru, to be totally free, one, if you look back historically, Adi Shankara says, in order to achieve moksha or liberation or freedom, you must have a living master. So, sometimes it's very hard for people to understand, and it's easier to connect them with if you're playing a sport, you know the rules of the sport. because it's in a book, right? But to excel in the sport, you need to have a coach to ask the questions and the coach to see how you're performing and tweak you. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah. So that is what a guru is in modern day times, or for people outside of India. And that is the struggle with international teachers, is when do you put the hat on? When do you put the hat on that we are a religious organization? And we are. Within India, when it's not right now in Navratri, the yajnas and all that, that is a religious ritual, but a very beautiful ritual. You need that hat on there. But once you step out of India, we are a purpose-driven humanitarian organization. And it's the agility of going back and forth as teacher or as ambassadors of art of living to be comfortable in doing that. And to gain that, we need to be able to listen to people and then be able to respond, not react, respond back to them in the way that they feel comfortable. So having taught many types of different backgrounds and all that, the important thing is always give people the space. Right? You'll notice that even at the end of the Sudarshan Kriya, you're given the space to lie down and relax. The master does that for you. So why can't we give people the space as well for them to be comfortable rather than pushing, pushing, pushing? Yes, the pushing or the encouragement needs to be there, but over excessiveness of it, sometimes the person closes down. So that's some of the skill sets in mentoring. But the question of, how do you become a mentor and all that within the art of living is, one, you have the intention and desire of that. And two, know that you are not perfect. You're only here to hear what the other person has to say and support them. Then we have much stronger teachers and more open teachers. But everyone is different anywhere you go, because everyone's love is expressed differently. Isn't that so? So, of course, when our love is expressed differently, our love for the guru is expressed differently. And the way we want to express it or to actualize it is different as well. That's why we have all the dramas when Gurudev comes. It should be done this way. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong, because that's the way we understand, that's the way we know, that's the way we've been successful in it. And because he's so precious to us, we want to be successful, we fall back on things we're familiar with. And that's your own lived experience. That's you. Every other person have different lived experience. And with that mindset, then you're able to then mentor a lot of people of different intentions, not intentions, but different approaches, where you see there's no right or wrong approach. It's all still one love. Yeah. I'm not sure if I answered the question. It's a lot of rambling again, Nirita.
Tim, you always have that thing in you to make others speechless. I wanted to ask you so many questions, but I got swayed by what you said and I've forgotten all the questions now. But one thing is really popping up my head is, you're a very successful entrepreneur, and I sometimes wonder, how do you manage spirituality, professional life in this fast-paced world? And I know you're a very good chef because many times when we have satsang and we have your Ayurvedic noodles. By the way, Tim has done Ayurvedic cooking course and his favorite food is he likes basundi. Am I right?
Yes.
His favorite is basundi, with that rasgulla inside. So, yeah, how do you balance all these things, like good chef, uh, then a excellent teacher, volunteer, and then your professional life? What is your tips to people?
It took me a long time to think about this, and it's presence of mind. In this information age we live in, everything is fast-paced. That is the information age, or now it's called the digital age. Everything is at your fingertips, yet you feel time poor, and yet you don't feel connected. Haven't we noticed that? Yeah. And the reason of that, when you, especially certain places, they always talk about work-life balance. What do you mean by work-life balance? And people associate that with the hours, 8 hours at work, 8 hours at home. That's work-life balance. But when we start looking or approaching things that way, then you may have noticed when you get home and you are allocating that 8 hours to your family, physically you're there, but mentally you're still in the office. Are you getting what I'm saying here? So the balance is not about the balancing of time. The balance is about the balance of your mind, your presence of the mind. So your presence of the mind, whether it's 1 minute with someone you love or 1 hour, it's still the same because you're there 100%. Right? One of the first knowledge points you learn on the basic course or happiness program. And that is exactly what the master does, what Gurudev does. His presence of mind, even that fleeting look when he connects with you, it's enough. And yet, if you sometimes if you have a chance to be with him closer or you're talking to him, that is also just the same as that fleeting thing. Yeah? In fact, the longer times you're already like so blissed out you don't know and you've missed out everything, right? And he's walked away. And that split second look from him is even more satisfying. So that's to remind us that when we look for balance in life, it's not balance about time, how much you put into it, but how much presence of mind you have at that situation, at that moment. And that all comes from the part one happiness program, basic course knowledge points. All those knowledge points and the practices allow you to have that presence of mind. And by doing that, you'll be successful in everything that you put
Wow,
yourself.
that's so fantastic. Now, when you said part one, now there is one question popping up in my mind. Is
Yeah.
you have been teaching a lot of courses. I'm sure you must have had some funny moments, some funny students. Like I mean, when I teach courses, there's some of them have been so funny that whenever I think about that and I smile. So, there must be some funny
Yeah,
incidents.
I had one student that would always open one eye and looking because he was looking whether I was doing the kriya. And I was saying to him, I mean, after I said, no, I'm not doing that, I'm facilitating it. So I found that very amusing. That was a habit of his until much later on that he stopped peeking. What is he up to? Because you're wondering, what is the teacher up to when your eyes are closed? Are we like dancing around or we're looking at our phone or what? No, no, what their presence of mind just supporting people's journey. But so that was one, but there's too many. But most of all, it's not the funny moments, but it's really the moments you see the blossoming happening, that aha moment. Uh, I think I can share here, like for teachers and for people who are not teachers of things like that, I guarantee you, the first career once you complete it, as teachers, when we look, your faces are bright, you know? When we use the word glowing too much, right? Oh, you're glowing. But the glowing is that brightness. And that is something that is again beyond the intellect. And it's amazing. It's no matter how difficult a student may be, difficult meaning one that is highly intellectual, constantly challenging you, constantly questioning, and not willing to go into the process completely, but they do sit through it. Their transformation is just there as well. And those are the moments that, as a teacher, is the most fulfilling because fulfillment or contentment, because it is one, you're humbled because you've been given this responsibility of whispering infinity as a vessel for to go through, not that you're doing it. So that humility comes up. And then certainly that sense of gratitude as well of being able to do that. So those are the things that comes up in all courses all the time. Yeah.
Tim, is there any participant whom you feel has taught me something? I mean, taught me
Yes.
something
Well,
amazing.
I tell you, every participant teaches you something.
But the
When
most
you
memorable one.
most memorable one, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So I have quite a judging mind. And it's just not one memorable. It's every course that you sit on, whether
Okay, you
you're
can just talk about one of them.
yeah, it it would be when they reflect the knowledge point back at you. Yeah. So um, there would be one, yes, there was one student that would not cooperate, right? In everything, they would not cooperate. And you're just wondering, it's such a waste of that person's time and a waste of my time and a waste of every other person's time. And I was struggling with this because it was distracting me from sharing. And then finally, it just so happens at that time, someone said acceptance. Uh, and I thought I was accepting, but I was actually resisting the moment. I thought I was accepting the person for not cooperating, but in fact, I was resisting it. And that was such an aha moment for me. You know, we as teachers, we think we have the course points nailed down, but each time it unfolds more and more. And you hear in one of the Ashravaka Gita tapes, Gurudev talks about that, about do not treat these knowledge points lightly. Yeah. I'm not sure if I answered the question on that. You
Yes,
know,
yes, you have. So I have some rapid fire questions for you.
oh no.
So you have to just give one word
Sa-
for it.
Save it for Gurudev.
Yeah, for Gurudev, definitely for you also. So what's that one word that best describes your journey?
Wonder.
Wonder, okay. A favorite memory with Gurudev?
Cherries.
Cherries, okay. If you could teach anywhere in the world, where would it be?
India.
Really? Wow. Uh, Anybody has any more rapid questions? Abhishek, do you have any rapid questions for him?
I guess it was wonderful session with you, Tim, and we all enjoyed. Someone from the audience wants to say something or ask. You can ask or unmute or share how you felt about it. If someone wants to say, okay.
Thank you very much. नहीं, question पूछना है तुमसे.
Yes, Neeruji. Yes, you are saying something.
No, no.
Okay, great. So it was wonderful session and we really enjoyed it. And
Sorry.
yes.
Just a quick one. So why I wanted to interject or say something is not a question, but about Tim. So uh, he's someone who really connects very easily, explains very simply, and that's something unique about him. Is why I always look forward to whenever Tim is saying something or he has a course. I'm there. So I know I have to say a lot of things here, but then I don't want to embarrass him. But yes, Tim is very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Wonderful,
I also
wonderful.
want to say, like, there is this satsang, regular satsang where Tim goes, and he has actually kind of made it happen every Thursday. That place is really far away from my place, almost 40 kilometers. But whenever I'm going for that, I just feel, I hope Tim comes there. I hope I get to meet him. So he has that kind of power of attraction. I can say that for sure.
You're too kind, Narita. We all
Yeah,
have.
that vibe here in the session was really wonderful, and thank you so much for being here. Yes, Nirita.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank
having me, Jai Gurudev.
Thank you, Tim. And you'll be very special because you are the first one for this Sattva Global, and we've learned so much from you. Your guru story was really very touching, and thanks for sharing your inspiring journey of growth.
One more thing I want to say to people who are watching it, do share this with all the volunteers out there. People really get connected when they see these sessions. So make sure you share this session to maximum people and do subscribe also. This is the first time we are doing it. So do subscribe. And Tim, before we conclude, any last message you want to give to all the people who are watching?
Be happy. That's it. Be happy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai
Thank you
Gurudev.
so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you, Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.